So these are the guys we're working on. Again, just a couple of Bardsung figures that we started up and just never finished. Probably be working on these guys first, just throwing some color on there. Hey Shark, how's it going, man? I know your week going all right. Doing good. Definitely happy it's a long weekend. Sounds like you got it all planned out pretty well then. So this is one of the many figures from the Bardsung kit that I never fully finished. This is one of two of the same. So we're just kind of working on, we already have the skin tone and some of the plate metal put on. So I'm just going through and doing some of the leathers right now. And then we'll add some further detailing on that. But I didn't want to start anything new today. I wanted something just a little simple, just sit back and relax, and I figured working on something that's halfway done is probably the best idea. I'd have to look up. It came with the kit. It was a Kickstarter. Let me look up real quick. They're made by Noble Knight Games. It's the main producer. Hey, a couple more people. It's the most interaction we've had in a while. Honestly, Shark, I mean, these MSPs I have had for, oh Lord, I don't know, since, so 7 years, and I'm still not worked my way through this kit. I love the application. I really don't have to worry about thinning. The content's great. If I do need to thin it to use in the airbrush, it's excellent. I mean, I love them. The Pro Acryl, I want to pick up some of their solid colors. I have 2 of their washes, and then I also have their fluorescents that I used on my beholders. So this beholder here, the actual highlights on his outside spines are the fluorescent purple that I got, and the interior of the eye is the fluorescent red. Let's see if I can get him a little closer there. And I mean, I've been really liking how their stuff's, you know, applied and turning out, so I might want to go and bulk up a little bit more of my stock with their stuff, but I might just get another set, a full set of the MSP too, just because I can't complain about them at all. I really, I mean, they're just great. Yeah, the fluorescents, they're bright. That's for sure. They really make it pop. Well, thank you. Beholders are absolutely my favorite D&D monster, so I figure they gotta be what I'm, you know, the best at painting. Another favorite, let's see. So are we talking about like classic D&D or like monsters that have kind of been adapted into D&D? Because that's quasi why I like the Beholder so much, is because there's nothing else exactly like it on the outside world. I mean, I do enjoy Displacer Beast just because I like the idea of, you know, finding a Displacer kitten, I guess, and trying to raise it with your party. um, One of my friend's kids is obsessed with ropers right now, so I feel like I need to learn a little bit more about them and paint one up for him. Everybody's always about owlbears, and I mean they're nice, but they're not really, I wouldn't say they're one of my favorites. I mean, mimics are a classic. You can't go wrong by them. Just being able to adapt them pretty much anywhere in the game. That's a solid choice. I can't say the last time we've run into any. I mean, yeah, maybe like a couple years ago, I think there were like 1 or 2. Yeah, there's too many. I've been adapting some Filipino folklore into monsters for one of my campaigns, and eventually you're going to find something that's always similar to something else. I mean, it's just kind of how that ends up panning out. But there's like the Filipino version of a vampire that I worked in there, and it's just super gross. Yeah, those would be pretty beefy. That's That'd be pretty cool. So did you were those printed up? Like were those like an independent printer, or did you print those up for your Atyugs? And apologies if I ever pronounce anything incorrectly. It's a thing where you learn by reading, so you're always gonna have iffy pronunciation. I'm trying to even think if I've seen a Lucrata mini too anywhere. Because they're supposed to be pretty beefy too, aren't they? Like 9 feet long or something. See, I never know what the Nolzur's meaning is because between the 3 stores that we go to, like our local game stores, one has a wall full of minis, and a lot of them are not necessarily these releases, but older ones. And then another one only has the new releases. So I always have a hard time of figuring out what's in print and not in print. Because they've started, and I don't know if it's because of the resurgence or because of the 50th anniversary, they're bringing back older monsters and adventures and things like that, so they decided to bring them miniature forms too. So yeah, off Etsy. Well, that's where I got my Strahd and my orc miniature. I say miniature, but hey, afternoon. I mean, early evening. I always consider it after 5 evening, but that's just the military in me. But hello, hello. One of my personal dreams is whenever we get enough space, I guess, disposable space, I want to build a life-size beholder. Like, I don't know if it'll be, the centerpiece of a fountain or something, or have, like security cameras in the eyes, since it'll probably be towards the center of a property or yard. But I always thought it'd be insane just to have this, 6 foot, 7 foot wide orb with eye stalks just hanging out in the garden. Beholder Sentries. Oh my god, Beholder Lawn. Yeah, have little spectators. Just, oh, yeah, it could be good. It could be so good. Either everyone would come visit or no one would come visit. That's what I would hope for, Shark. I mean, it'd probably be the best trick-or-treat house around. Absolutely. I'd make sure I had the full-size candy bars to hand out to the kids that are brave enough. So what are all you guys working on, painting or building wise at the moment? This is my one painting night this week. It's been pretty busy at work, so I haven't been doing much when I got home, and we've got 2 days of gaming set for this weekend, so I won't have a lot of time to work on one specific thing, which is kind of why I also stuck with just finishing up some of these guys. It wouldn't be my first time scaring a bunch of mothers, Shark. Hey, Elder Darkness. And that's the only reason I don't have a 3D printer yet. I know I would get way too far ahead of myself, and the gray horde would be huge. One of my husband's friends offered us his 3D printer because I guess they're downsizing and he just doesn't use it a whole bunch, and I'm tempted. I'm very tempted, but I don't think I'd ever leave the house. Yeah, I'm about to get into some historical paints. My dad used to do a whole bunch of the old lead, like Civil and Revolutionary War setups. And I know he was looking at some of the modern sets. He was looking at me to paint for him. Yeah, that'll be some fun terrain to do, Shark. Absolutely. Elder Darkness, do you use it more for scatter terrain, furniture, or actual like beast and people miniatures? Because I feel like if I got one, it would probably be just for more custom scatter, just because some of the stuff out there doesn't necessarily fit our homebrew campaigns, and that's one of the prime benefits I would see in getting one. So just curious for your input on that one. Launch the characters. Okay. We end up using scatter if it, I guess, calls for it, if we're, really revisiting an area and things like that. Or if the DM expects us to be kind of stuck in one spot for a hot minute. We got some of the warlock tiles and things for, building and working through and things like that. But even then, we don't necessarily always set it up too much unless we're expecting to really be in one spot for a long time. Thanks, Mom. Make the algorithm notice me. I was wondering, would you see more folks go to their LGS to play versus other folks' place? We end up traveling just because, for personal preference at our place here, but one of our groups, the bulk of them are about 2 hours away. So of course we game at their place as well. But I totally see the benefits of playing at the game store if it's something, especially like Warhammer. I feel just because, just the amount of things and having a set up for that. I mean, you really have to have a disposable space in your home, which not everybody has. Yeah, we got our two groups together once, so it was 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. I think it was like 10 or 11 folks in total, and it was definitely pushing accommodation size. That was much more role play and minimal combat, so just running with description versus having something set on the table and playing. It was just a one-shot adventure, so it wasn't really worth going and doing a full build out for sure. actually a pretty nifty idea, for sure. Huh. I think our problem is we put one thing on the table and then the friend group was, oh, well, you couldn't just add a little bit more here, a little bit more there, and then, you know, we all just take it seriously and go with it, and the next time they come in, there's like a full custom environment for what we're playing. So for you fantasy gamers in the group, are you more D&D, Pathfinder, or some other build out? And if so, which editions do you prefer? Just out of curiosity. $5E? Okay. Shadow Dark. Yep. We were playing a little bit of that. I've gone through a little bit of both. Right now, our one group is playing 5E with some 3-5 worked in, I guess you could say. Played some Shadow Dark, played some Dolmen Wood. A long time ago, we had an argument. We were trying to establish a group. Half of them wanted 3-5 and half of them wanted 5E, so we ended up playing Pathfinders because nobody had used that as a gaming mechanic. Which it's not bad. It's, you know, fit the bill, fit the need. And if you put enough homebrew into something, it isn't what it is anymore. Yeah, I think we only played 2 or 3 adventures in Shadow Dark. We didn't get super far into a campaign. Dolmen Wood's pretty good. I think hopefully that's what we're playing tomorrow. Which is like, I mean, basic first with a little bit of AD&D in there, but it's a good setup. It's very straightforward, which is nice for a change. I didn't look at the new build outs for the D&D player's manual and everything, and I don't know if I'm going to. I'm going to be honest. I know we brought it up on a couple of streams in the past, but I mean, I'd much rather just use already set tables and things in reference and just kind of mash it all together for the group's needs versus, you know, feeding the Wizards of the Coast machine. I just remember the one new campaign book I bought just because I liked the art on it. And then, you know, that whole thing came out about how much of it being produced by AI. So I'm like, well, okay, that's all right. That enjoyment's ruined. Like, it's just whatever. I just feel that they're really trying to rake in cash. And I mean, there's so many sources out there where you can find similar adventures and or source adventures in the public domain versus, you know, buying something that's restructured when you can pretty easily do it yourself for you and your players. I guess I'm just asking for new content, but again, I guess there's only so much you can create. Like, I don't need something repurposed. I just want something new, like genuinely new. And not bad, which I guess is my personal preference. Some people are probably going to love the new system that comes out. I don't know. We'll see. If you don't know about a source called the Eye, it is very Black Flag friendly. I know it's on some Reddit, TTRPG, and D&D forums. If you're looking for that sort of thing, I won't type it out just so it's not there. But Mithras. Yeah, like the whole D&D Beyond, like having all of your information digital to pull up, and yeah, I don't need any of that. I still remember there's a video going around social media. It takes the guy, 15 minutes to pull up his stat block to do a agility check versus just having it on paper in front of you. I'm also someone who doodles the entire time, which most people think means that I'm not listening to them, which is far from the case. I just need to fidget. And I usually end up doodling whatever we're talking about, so I actually remember what's going on in the campaign. So I'm still 100% pencil, paper, have the notebook, everything. I don't... I mean, granted, maybe somebody has an iPad, so they're keeping the same notes just digitally, and then it is easier. You can, Control F and look exactly what you're looking for versus flipping through pages. So personally, though, yeah, I'm pencil paper kind of person. Hey, Arcane Void, thanks for hopping in. I will say we just did some Ravenloft playthrough, and luckily I have a little bit of a map brain, so if you're describing something to me, I can figure out where a staircase is leading and I'm good to go. Although it was great to watch our DM behind the screen just flipping this paper 7 different ways because it doesn't logically follow itself. So that's when I think maybe having the digital copy would have been good, because you can just, you know, tab through each sheet on a document, which hopefully somebody has done, you know. Like if you have layers in Photoshop, layer 1's, you know, base level, and keep going up and then back down. Probably would be a little bit more helpful than some of the paper maps they create. Um, but yeah, like to each their own. But in the recent era of which company was it, Crunchyroll recently, that's like, hey, if you bought this, you didn't actually buy it, it's not in your inventory anymore, or PlayStation or something like that. The era where they're saying that buying something digitally isn't ownership, I just get a little twitchy, and I'm like, just give me the book, give me the disc, give me, you know, the physical property of it. But that's, again, that's just me, and that's just what helps me. Some people, you know, using the computer helps them. Like, I'm sure my siblings are a different generation than me. 100% probably they're better at remembering their notes if they have it digitized. Yeah. Yeah, moving everything does suck a bit. Totally see you on that one. We're kind of in the same boat. It's just weird and interesting, I guess, seeing the evolution of digital content, because it's like, I remember, you know, going down to the video store on Friday to rent a DVD and get some popcorn or, you know, goodies for the weekend. And now, or you know, the running joke of, you know, the internet screams whenever you hook it up. Like things that aren't commonplace. And I'm sure there's folks in this live stream, obviously, that are older than I, that wouldn't have imagined content how it is now either. I mean, the immediate accessibility, and yet having it being able to be taken away, that's one thing. So for me, when I'm making these videos, I make them all almost on my phone. Like I'm streaming through my cell phone right now for you guys. I did get a camera that plugs into my computer so I can take some higher quality videos. While you're looking at editing software, and you know, I used Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and things when I was in school learning how to do digital art, but now you have to subscribe to it. You can't just buy the program. You have to have a running subscription. And I'm like, well, just let me buy the program. Why can't I just buy the one thing and have access to it versus having to continually pay you? Like, I don't know. It's interesting, I guess, is all I'm trying to say. It's just interesting how things panned out. Now, were you kind and did you rewind? I still miss all the orange Nickelodeon tapes. Thanks. This is one of the Bardsung guys that I did not finish in the challenge video and never got around to working on again. There's 2 of them that are pretty similar. I just did up the plate mail and the red fabric and skin tone before, so I'm just adding some of the leathers and some other details. And I have 2 other ones sitting here that maybe I'll get around to working on, maybe I won't. I've had a couple of 10-hour plus days at work lately, so I'm just happy that I made it online. But I'm glad you guys all showed up. It's nice having folks to talk to. It's always weird whenever no one's on and then you kind of have to talk to yourself to explain what you're doing for folks that watch in the future. Yeah, a little less staring at drying paint, exactly. It's like right after you do a wash, you're like, well, I'm just gonna sit here for about 15 minutes and just wait. That's excellent. Yeah, if you guys, I try to post a couple days before I stream when I'm planning on streaming. I'm trying to figure out when people are available. I mean, I'm very much usually a Saturday morning person. I get a lot of my work done in the morning. But, I mean, if you're doing other, like, everybody's living, like, we all have a life. So just trying to figure out when my audience is available and where they're at, I think is what I need to figure out for the live streaming for sure. Um, Multiple projects. Sometimes, it's not necessarily always intentional. Sometimes, like this one, this is the second death dog that I have that's been hanging out that I'm supposed to paint to look exactly like my friend's dog, and I'm paranoid that it's not going to look good. So that one's just kind of sitting on the back burner. Um, there's a couple of personal things I want to work on. I had 4 of those beholders that I painted up so I could list for sale, and there's a couple other ones. I have 2 skeletons and 2 zombies, and then I have this Bardsung one, and then I also have a kit that I want to do for a friend's birthday, which is already happening, so I guess it's going to have to be a Christmas present. So they're not like immediate need projects, but I am very much a person that has too many hobbies that jumps around way too much for things that I want to focus on. So I guess unintentional multiple projects. Giant wolf companion. Did you snag one of the dire wolves to try and make it work, or are you looking at something different? My one problem is usually my husband is the one DMing, not me, which is fine. He has a whole bunch of content written up, and I enjoy it when he DMs. But obviously, he can't tell me what's going to happen. So if he has miniatures that need painted, I never know until after that session. So it's kind of unfortunate because sometimes he'll be like, "Hey, can you grab this and put it on the table?" I'm like, "Well, if you told me, I would have done this up." But then I would have answers to things that I don't need to know about because then I'm not a meta gamer, but I totally understand him not wanting to spoil anything for me. Oh, Reaper Armor Wolf, that should be pretty good. And I am selling my Bright Beholders just because if I kept every beholder I painted, I mean, I would be the absolute hive mother. They're kind of my stress reliever paint. I kind of understand how those minis are painted, or I'm sorry, printed by now, that they go wickedly fast for me, and I just like painting them a whole bunch of different colors. I mean, I've got this guy here hanging out. He's actually we're drafting up a campaign right now. His name is Peep Show, obviously, because of the eyes, and he runs a cabaret, and he has rainbow glitter all over him. I have the purple one I showed you guys earlier. I've got one that I painted with the classic orange and purple colors that are in the book. I mean, I love painting beholders. It would just be bad if I kept all of them. But I've got a whole lot more neon paint, Shark, so don't worry. We're gonna paint up some more. Absolutely. So right now I'm picking up the Nolzur's, again, apologies if I say anything wrong, Marvelous Miniature Beholders, just because they're always in stock, really. There's only one period where they were kind of short. There's been a couple of them that I've been looking at on Etsy that are custom prints that I was thinking about getting. There's one guy that I got after going to PAX last December. This guy is from Dwarven Forge, and obviously he is way bigger than your tabletop mini. He's just just like a little shelf sitter. So he's what I've got up there. Just because he always looks like he's having a good time with his little monocle and his top hat. He is a very dapper lad. He's wonderful. Yeah, I have enough beholders on hand so that in my campaign, if my players mess up, it will at least be authentic before they tear up their character sheets. But I don't need as many as I could have, is what I guess I'll say. I'm just happy that they printed him with a little goblet so it sticks with the idea that beholders like wine as it had in I Tyrant, because I feel like so many folks just gloss over their preferences. Like, you could, yes, big, scary, 100%, but you can make them hilarious depending on what your players run into. The Wondering Eyes, that's pretty good. Oh my god, yeah, the infinite amount of sketch pads and notebooks I have had in my life, and you get one notebook because you think it looks awesome and you really like the paper, but you can never think of something good enough to put on it, so then you never use it. Yeah, our family has a paper product issue. So I wholly understand that statement. So one of our ideas for this cabaret is the only human that is actively there is the bartender, because they have thumbs. Like, you have like a monster themed cabaret, but the human, like, you need a humanoid, something with thumbs, just because, like, anyway. And no, don't tell me unlimited beholders. Don't support that addiction. That is, if I get one and the husband's pissed, he's coming after you. I'm pointing all fingers. It's not gonna be at me. I think one of the reasons I love them too, other than just being this weird, obscure creation. Shark, like you said, the definition and distinction of them. I'm also a huge Hannibal Lecter fan, both the books and the show and the movies and everything. I mean, if Hannibal would be a beholder, if you had to assign him a monster, I feel like that's what it would be. Um, not vampire, because you know he still has to consume something other than a singular thing, but it takes every ounce of willpower not to print one. Well, again, you can have unlimited. It's okay. Just print out one more. It's all right. Just tell me what you guys actually need for your campaign, and I'll divert the conversation. It's all right. I'm not trying to boost the beholder market. They're gonna see sales just booming and wonder what the hell happened in everyone's homebrew campaigns. Griffin Knight. Yeah, I've seen a couple of prints for him, and I kind of been wanting to get one too. I'm not gonna lie. I think he'd be great to have. I've also been browsing some of like the larger bust pieces, like still miniatures technically, but definitely just for appeal, just to have sitting around, just to practice some techniques, necessarily not put on the table for anything, but because I definitely need some practice larger scale with the airbrush before I get better with the small scale stuff, because it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve still for me, for sure. Oh, and I will say, was it my first live stream? My second live stream? The bookish dragon, not not a great print. It's one of the cheap buys on Amazon. It was like the $25 for like the decent size. I can't make it look good, and I don't know if that is an artist, you know, blaming their tools or the product versus themselves, but it's just he's just not turning out great. I might end up just spraying over him completely with silver and do some weathering so he looks like a little statue versus an actual mini. I can't, how do you feel about it? Because like I said, part of it feels textured enough to add good detail, and then the other half of it just feels like way too smooth. I mean, it doesn't feel balanced. When airbrushes, you got to be just a little bit proactive. I feel like as long as I clean it right after I'm done, I'm good. Like I don't have to worry too much. Yeah, I was doing silver and blue and purple, so trying to go for like a cool, like wizard-esque cool color scheme on it, and it's not looking good. But you never know what something's like unless you pick it up and give it a go. So it is what it is. Purple, orange, and blue. That can look good. Especially if you did some like edge highlighting on the orange, like the contrasting colors. So edge highlight with orange on like the blue and purple, and then see, I didn't think putty. I actually thought about stripping the paint off and getting like a wood burner. It had to be a cheap one because you have to clean it off, but actually trying to heat it to score it a little bit and add texture, because I feel like the pieces where it's flat are smaller, so if you add to it, it might bulk it up just a little bit. But I don't know. Again, maybe it's just me, because well, you guys get it. When you're working on something and you're staring at it forever, you're looking at what you think is wrong with it, and other people won't even notice it at all. So yeah, maybe I just need to hide it in the back of the closet for a little bit, then pull it out and go over it again. And I had some assembly issues too. I heated it with the warm water as they recommended. I ended up having to get a file and shave down some of the pegs to get it to fit together, and even then I would take Shark's advice and get some putty to fill some of the seams, because they are pretty obvious in the print. Actually, let's... One thing I think I'll never outgrow in this hobby is getting a decent distance on a figure and then realizing you were assuming something was wrong. So like down here, I just painted his forearm the plate mail color. No, I think that's supposed to be skin color. I I think there's a line break there. It's just a frequent occurrence, it feels like. Well, and these two, in one or two of the other minis, when I primed them, it was the very end of the spray can, so they got a little bit grainy and bulky. So that's all right though. Well, I gotta open the door. The cat's yelling. You can come in if you're gonna be good. Yeah, the Dragonborns. Well, even like I paint a whole lot of orcs because I'm a fan of orcs. even then there's some times where it's just not discernible. And I don't know if it's just me or the print, but I mean, probably a little bit of both. Clem, do you need to be on the live stream? Do you need to be famous? Can you not headbutt my lamp, please? I always pay the cat tax. Clem is definitely my cat, that's all I'll say. Buddy. He has his own chair in this study, mind you, between me and my husband's gaming chair, so he doesn't feel left out. He has a spot. It's got a nice little blankie on it. So I'll have to pay the pet tax. Or it's more than likely just the paint water. I mean, let's be honest. Clem. Just so you guys know, I'll probably keep this live stream a little bit towards its intended length. So I'll probably be hopping off here around 7 o'clock, just because I have some house chores and responsibilities to take care of. But I mean, that'll be a decent amount of time. I think the last one was only maybe an hour and 15 minutes or so. So we're on the up and up, and we've had more folks now than we've normally had. So that's a good thing. So this is one of two. Obviously, you guys saw I was working on another guy too. Whenever you have NPCs like that in a campaign that aren't something like skeletons or zombies, but something that's actually like a compatible character, do you usually paint them the same, or do you give them different characteristics? Because I'm a little split. Some of mine I make similar enough, but color code them a little bit. So like the one warriors over there, you know, for their pants, one's red, one's orange, one's yellow, you know, down the rainbow, but all the armor and skin tones are the same. Do you guys make them exactly the same? Completely different? A little bit of both? Just curious aesthetically what works for you guys. Yeah. It's kind of how I did the guys over here. Let me grab, I think they're on this tray. Clothing, yep. Yeah, so you have these two with the green and yellow pants, and then you've got blue and red. So literally everything on them's the same except for the pants. So that way, and that's a problem I was saying with Bardsung when I was making the video, is you end up with an absolutely crowded table. I mean, there's just so much going on. So that if, you know, somebody wants to target something specific, they can at least point out clothing color to kind of help them out. Because, Clem, can you not shake everything, buddy? Because part of me likes the idea of color coding because it makes sense for play, and then there's also part of me that wants them all to match, just while, you know, you're looking at them on the shelf. Because, especially if it's a preset grouping like this, you know, some of them I have enough to do the full Roy G. Biv, and then other ones there's only 3, so it's like, okay, well, I can't color code everything that's in the container because only one of them can be, you know, it's an organizational thing, I guess. Just personal preference. Eventually I will have a full rainbow of beholders though, don't you guys worry. And they will be color coded. Right, I'm gonna set these guys to the side just for a little break. Well, wait, let me do the chain on this one, and then we'll set them to the side. We can work on some spiders. Okay. Yeah, I feel like if you want to really practice or just test out color ideas, like the weird monsters are the way to go. Either, you know, slimes or beholders. Anything that they're odd enough that they don't need to fit a color scheme, so you can kind of mess around with what you would want. And that's kind of why I enjoy them. I mean, there's nothing that stipulates they have to be something specific. So many people are very, well, this is what it looks like on the box, this is what it looks like in the book, so it's what it has. And it's like, okay, you can live like that, but I mean, your dinners must be very dull if that's all you do is make what's on the box and you don't add something to it. You know. Oh, Arcane Void. We can have a whole lore discussion. Some of them can look exactly like if it is more based on the self. But yeah, they don't have to. And I will say I don't know nearly enough about beholders and spelljammers, so I can't speak for that much. But oh, give me a second. Let me. No. Just pull up the Prime Beholder Guide for our reference. I was gonna get this for myself because I've been looking for a complete version of it, and then apparently somebody got it for me for a holiday gift, and I always spoil my own surprises because I continue to buy the things I want, so I got this gift far too early. So this is where it differs. So you always hear now with 5e that it's like dreams birth beholders. In here, it literally states that beholders birth live young through self-fertilization. So they can have 3 to 6 beholders at one point. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff. So this is the AD&D Monstrous Arcana Eye Tyrant. I know there are PDF versions online that you can reference. It gets into their... Let me just be cautious. I'm just gonna move this for a second. Like full anatomy structures. There's notes the whole way through about them. It gives you the actual charted breakdown, type of damage, and what beholder can do it against your players. And they don't have references like these only for beholders. There are other ones out there. But all of your combat notes for different variants that aren't even really listed in the 5e manuals or the guide to monsters that exists. There's a whole plethora of, like, it goes over beholder jousting, which is a thing, a little hobby. They also like to make kaleidoscopes on the walls to have other beholders look at for their entertainment. It's a whole thing. So the reference is out there. If you have somebody questioning your rainbow of beholders and your bright colored beholders, and you really want to put them in their place, there are resources for you. Actually, let's pull out the Citadel for these. So for this guy, I have a red glaze on him, or her. I'm not going to assume. I do want to do just a little bit of layering, so get some bright colors on here to make the red pop a little bit more, and then maybe some deeper blacks on the base there. So that's what we're going to do next. Just, again, easy things, not time sensitive, nothing stressful. Excuse me. There's some lore that 100% I feel should be kept in place that I understand if players want to get nitpicky with. Like, I'm 100% like a druid shouldn't be able to turn into an owlbear since it's not a natural creature. I mean, that's just me. Again, play however you like. But then 100% there should be stuff that can be adapted. And I feel like if you're a player and you're gonna kind of, harass or nitpick over it instead of just enjoying playing the game, like, are you there just to, again, argue? Like, is that what you're getting out of this? Because if it is, then you can leave the table. We don't need you here. And I think that's why I like playing a homebrew a lot. Like, if you already start out with things being a bit different, more exact sourcing can kind of be forgotten, or at least it helps your players forget about it. Yeah, building your own drop-in kind of. I mean, it just supports you as the DM, of course. Folks can't question. If you're like, hey, I built this out for you. This is what you get. You know, it's not like, well, in paragraph 5 of chapter 6 of this campaign book, it states that in this time, what? Yeah, like we don't. You can go home and you can read the Forgotten Realms novels and enjoy them yourselves, but magic school students, huh? So are they all wizards? Or are some of them kind of innate and honing ability? Are you making magic school clicks for the kids that have difficulty and weren't born with magic? I don't know how I do in that campaign. I'll be honest, I haven't played a ton of magic users. I played a druid a couple times, but overall, I'm almost always a barbarian or a fighter, and I think that's just because it helps me focus on roleplay more, but I think that'd be pretty cool. You guys are gonna make me ask what Strixhaven is, aren't you? Huh. I have some friends that might actually be kind of interested in that. I'll have to check that out. Was it a once and done publication, or do you guys think you can kind of snag the book up places now? I'll look around a little bit. Yeah, Amazon. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to do some digging. That might actually... Or, I guess, let me ask the group first, and then if nobody sounds interested, I won't try and snag it somewhere. Because I'm sitting here thinking, oh yeah, they'll probably get a kick out of it, and then I'll bring it up like, I don't know. Not gonna lie, giant spiders are some of my favorite things to paint too. Just the joints and the different accents. And do I enjoy them in game? Not necessarily, but they're another one where you can mess around with all sorts of different colors, and I mean, it can really just go with the flow on it. See, I don't hate spiders in real life. They're useful. You know, they eat the annoying things. I don't like being the first one on the hiking path and walking through a whole bunch of spider webs, but you take what you can get, you know. I'm sure the spiders don't like me walking through their webs either. They need to exist where I can't see them. So, since it's a school, is there like a safety in place for protecting against death? Like the idea that eventually someone would find you and, you know, either cure you or resurrect you or anything? Or is there still the threat of losing your PC for the players? Not that I'm saying that you seem like a TPK kind of person, just I always like reminding, it sounds awful, I like reminding them their characters are mortal, like you're not necessarily safe. Like as a DM, you know, I don't go out aiming to off anyone, but there's always the unfortunate potential. Death is still certainly possible. Excellent response. Oh, that's not fun. Alright, so this is how our spider friend's looking right now. A little bit of accents. Nothing exceptional. We're gonna do a little bit more work and add some shading. But for right now, I think I'm probably gonna hop off. Like I said, we're approaching 7 and I have some choring to do before the weekend kicks in. But I am super happy that all of you actually came out and tuned in. I'll have to remember this timing wouldn't be next week, but it would be the week after. Will be our live streaming, so that is the week of the 9th. So Friday the 13th stream. That's going to be pretty good. Anyways, like I said, thanks for coming out and supporting. I like that not only can I talk to you, but you guys, talk to each other. It's not awkward. So I'll be putting another video out this week. I hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy some of your projects and your gamings, and you all take care.